Hi everyone, welcome to Ponies and Pints here at Equine-Assisted Therapies. I am Missy T, the barn manager, and I am welcoming you to this special edition of Ponies and Pints Behind the Scenes. So we're going to get started by taking a tour of all of our horses and then go into a little bit of nutrition and what we feed our horses and how we keep them healthy and strong. So come on, let's go. So right now we have a couple horses that are out in class. Goose, one of our thoroughbreds, he came from Florida Track and he was adopted by us and he has become a wonderful horse for the program. He's a thoroughbred, he is 12 years old, and he's a gray goose. This lovely lady right here is Hallery. She is an Oldenburg. She's 23 years old. She just celebrated her birthday on March 26th, so happy birthday to her. She is not in class right now, but she has been with the program for about 19 years. And is, this is Cherokee. So we're going to take a second and talk about him and give you a chance to meet him. Cherokee is currently on trial for our program to become a therapeutic riding horse. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that entails and what the process is that he needs to go through. So Cherokee is about 12 years old. He is a Belgian warm blood. He came from a jumping career and is now with our program learning how to adapt into therapeutic riding life. So some of the things that we do are school them, and that means riding with professional riders or riders that are capable of schooling. So that way we can help him build muscles and develop into a strong horse so that he can serve our participants. Once he goes through the basics of riding and schooling, then we will move on to working with class protocols. So we'll bring him out, we'll introduce him to some toys, and after he's comfortable with those, then we'll start with volunteers and bring him into classes with a volunteer leader, a volunteer rider, and he'll participate in a class just like he would with a student on. And we do that until we feel he's comfortable and ready to have a student on him. We'll introduce him to students on the ground to see how he responds with them. And it's just a very step-by-step process. So welcome. We'd like to welcome Cherokee. He's doing great so far. So, all right, you ready, buddy? Let's go back in your stall. Come on, good boy. Say bye. All right. Next, we have Oreo. So Oreo has been with the program since 2017. She is a paint and also a quarter horse cross. She has a previous life in jumping and also being a therapeutic horse. So she kind of came into the program and hit the ground running and was ready for anything we threw at her because she had already been accustomed to it. All right, moving on. This lovely little lady is Beauty. I have to open the door for her. Beauty, properly named Black Beauty.
We have a question.
Oh, sure.
About Cherokee.
Oh, yes.
How long will Cherokee be in school?
How long will Cherokee be in school? So that is up to Cherokee. We are very, very particular about not rushing our horses through this process. We want everything we do with them to be happy and inviting, and we want them to be comfortable. We don't want them to be in any state where they're uneasy about anything. So as far as schooling goes, Cherokee's still working on some fundamentals, and as he progresses through those, then we'll start working him into program. So it may take we're definitely going to work with him through the summer, and then we'll see how he is at the end of the summer, and we'll reassess for the next steps. So back to, is there any more questions? Okay, so back to Beauty. Beauty is a halflinger cross. She has been with us since 2016, and Beauty is one of the quietest and kindest horses in our program. Although they're all kind, she is a very mellow, even-tempered horse, and pretty much is perfection at all times. So, she serves a lot of our smaller participants because of her size. And then, all right. And if you're ever here visiting us at the barn, all of our horses have a couple things on their doors. So we have their care sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring a horse, please let us know. And we also have our information chart. So what it says is their name, when they were born, their breed, their color, how high, how tall they are, and when they arrived into the program. Each sheet will tell a little bit about the horse, and then little things that they like or don't like between getting groomed, tacked, and prepared for classes, and then being led out in the arena or in the grass. So, okay, moving on. This lovely lady is Ginny. Ginny is one of our biggest horses here. She came to us in 2019. She's also 12 years old and absolutely loves her face held. So we got her specifically for her size so that we were able to use her for our adult riders. And as she transitions into her classes, she has new shoes on. So if you see these big old feet of hers, they're as big as they are, they're actually very sensitive. So she has these special shoes on that help protect her feet and make her comfortable for when she's being ridden. And it's been a great thing for her. So now she's happy. She loves her participants. And she's also very wonderful in our unmounted program. Okay, back up. Good girl. Bye. I know you'd love to come out and join us. She's very involved in virtual things. Okay. Next we have Fire. Fire came to us at the age of 3. He is our youngest horse that we've brought into the program. He was rescued from Pure Thoughts Rescue, and he has been in the program. He's now 19 years old, so he's been in the program with us for 16 years. So he is a wonderful horse. He's promptly named for his fiery coat and color. He is a chestnut. And yeah, he's hanging out. He also has these wonderful bell boots. So these are for when he goes outside at night. He has special shoes because of the genetics of his breed, we'll say. He tends to have some circulation issues. And what we've done is, in working with our amazing farrier, James Burrell, we were able to give him special shoes that change the angle of his feet. And in doing so, it makes him comfortable, it makes him happy. The problem is those shoes are like this big. So when he goes out at night and has a blast outside, he likes to run and will sometimes kick his shoes off. So these are designed to help so that his shoes don't come off when he has his excitable moments. Okay. This is Mo. Mo is one of our newer herd members. He is in the process of getting ready to come into classes, and he is an Arabian Welsh cross. He loves to look out his window. It's his favorite thing to do. This is Devin. Devin, and I'm sure Molly can agree with me, who I'm sure we're all missing right now. This is one of our favorite horses in the barn because he is just so sweet and so cute. So Devin was named Path Region 5 Horse of the Year in 2020. He serves in all of our programs between therapeutic riding, hippotherapy, unmounted, and our veterans program. So he is a jack of all trades, we like to say. He's very sweet, very well behaved. He has one flaw though. As you can see from his door, he has this wonderful sign on that says, "I am Houdini." He actually is, and if his door is not latched, he will let himself out and go help himself to some grass. Good job, Debbie. Debbie is one of our oldest horses as well. He's 25. Star is out in class, but he's 26. He's been with the program the longest of all of our horses. He came in at age 5. He's a quarter horse. He's a dark bay and has served in the program for 21 years. So he is very comfortable with everything we do. He is happy. He's doing great. And we're happy to have him still. And then there's Max. I'm sure you've all seen him before. This is our poster child. Come on over and say hello. Max is a Belgian draft horse. He stands a whopping 17.3, which means he's, pretty tall. He is the biggest horse in our barn. He's also the oldest horse in our barn at age 27. So Max's history, just to give you some fun facts about him, he was a champion vaulting horse. He came from Georgia in a vaulting program. He had a bunch of kids on him doing basically gymnastics. It was really, really awesome to see. And when he retired from that, we got him, and he has been absolutely wonderful in our program. Now, if you notice, because we're getting... Oh, question?
We do have a question.
Okay.
I would like to know, what was Max's show name when he was a professional
Oh, yes!
interactive golfer?
It is Bronson! I love his actual name. He was named Maximus when he came here, but his show name is Bronson. I absolutely love it. He looks like a Bronson to me. So as we get ready to talk about our feed and certain diets, I want to point out Max's green face here. So Max has a very special diet because he has a very sensitive stomach. And as he has aged, the hay is really good for him, but because his stomach is sensitive, he gets an added diet of soaked hay cubes. And basically it's a bunch of mushed up hay that's like tiny, tiny, tiny. And we mix it into a soup for him. And he gets that twice a day on top of his other food and his other hay. And basically he has a happy stomach and a digestive system and healthy as a horse. No pun intended. Are you done? Have a good night. Goodbye. All right, and the last horse of our herd of 12 is Jose. Now, you got to meet Hallery in the beginning of this. Jose is Hallery's boyfriend, and they are inseparable. So, come here, Jose. Would you like to come say hi to everybody? Jose is an Argentinian pony. Hello. And by his size, we have the biggest horse and the smallest horse. And he typically serves our smaller participants. He is a very, very sweet pony, but he does have a fun side to him. So he is also considered a gray. So you didn't get to see Goose, but you got to see one of our other grays.
So, Missy, how many ponies versus horses do we have?
So technically, this is where it gets fun. So technically, we have 2 ponies and 10 horses. However, Devin and Star are right on the borderline. They are the horse breed, but they are pony size. So they're just right on the cusp of being a horse or a pony. So it depends on how excited they're feeling for the day. That'll change their height a little bit. All right, so I promised you we were going to talk about some feed and nutrition. So I'm going to bring you into our feed room. Come on in. So here at Equine-Assisted Therapies, we have a very specific diet for all of our horses. We work with our vet. We work with our nutritionist that is from Purina and set specific feed schedules for each of our horses. So we have our feeding binder, and every horse is in here. We have a how-to guide of how to feed, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then each horse has their own page. So it'll tell you what grain they have, if they have any supplements, and then what kind of hay regimen they get. And each horse has their own page, and if they have any special restrictions or any special things that need to happen with their food. We have 2 horses that get soaked hay, and what that does is take the sugars out of the hay by soaking it for at least 30 minutes, and that allows them to have a little more, we'll say, a carb-conscious diet. Then all of our horses have their own bucket. So each horse has their name, what they get in the morning, and then what they get in the evening. And for Goose, it looks like a lot. It's not as much as it seems, but basically all of our horses are either on both or one of, we use Purina Senior Active, and then we use Purina Enrich Plus. The Outlast is a supplement that we use for horses with sensitive digestion, and it just kind of helps buffer that gastric acid. And then they get fed twice a day. They get their lunch, mainly hay, and then we also have Max, who gets his grain lunch as well.
We have a question. Missy,
sure.
What is the difference between a grain like Senior Active and Strategy?
Different processes. We are not using Strategy at the moment, but the Senior is steamed. It's broken down for our older horses. We have a lot of older horses in this barn. There's a lot more nutrients in it, so we like to use that to help with getting them all those vitamins, minerals, all those nutrients that they need, that they're not going to get from, you know, we only turn out for, they go out probably about anywhere from 6 to 8 o'clock at night, and then they're out all night, and then they come in at maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, but they're not really grazing that whole time. So the nutrients that they would get from the grass are not as prominent as if we had really, really luscious grass, like say maybe Kentucky or Georgia. You know, we have a little bit of a different kind of grass here, so the nutrients are a little different in what they're getting. And then the grain that we feed is specifically tailored to each horse based on their size, on their weight, their workload, and we work with our nutritionists to develop a plan that works for everybody. We weigh them. I would say I weigh them about every 2 months, and it's a tape, and it's a guesstimate, you know. But we take a tape and we measure around, and it'll give us a rough estimate of their weight. So we can see if there's any major changes, if something needs to maybe increase or decrease. And then we can also tell by looking at their coat, because their coat is also going to show us if they're deficient in something. So it may be a little dull, maybe they're missing some minerals, or there's something that they're lacking. And a nice shiny coat, we can see that they're getting everything that they need. So
We have a couple people that just want to say, hi, Missy.
Hi, guys.
Ginger.
Hi,
Cassidy.
Ginger. Hi, Cassidy. Thanks for joining us tonight. So this is our feed room, and then it's air conditioning.
Missy,
And
what
yes.
does the feed look like?
What does the feed look like? Oh, sure. All right, so this is our enrich, just to give you a little look here. And we have labels. So we have little levels for each, so that way we can measure it out. We also measure by pounds. So each horse gets a diet based on pounds of food. Our Outlast is our supplement, and that would be, can you see it okay?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. And we only have a couple horses in the barn that get that. And then we have Senior Active. This is my favorite stuff. It smells so good. It looks good. It also has what's called Amplify in it. And that is, it's kind of like a fat supplement. And it's good for the older horses, because as horses age, they are going to lose muscle. They are going to lose, just like humans, right? So things start to change a little the older they get. And then we have all of our horses are on electrolytes daily. We start to make the shift as the weather gets hotter, and they get it twice a day versus once a day. And that's just to make sure that they're drinking and they're happy and getting all the water supply they need as well. So, any other questions?
No
at
other
the moment?
questions, but I have one.
Yeah, please.
We just recently had a visit from the saddle fitter.
We did.
What does the saddle fitter do?
So we recently had a fit with Diane Sasser from Saddle Fit by Diane. She was really sweet and came out and worked with all of our horses. She basically comes out and we go one by one through every single one of our horses. So we bring the horse out, we take the saddle, we'll put the saddle on without any pads, anything, and see how it fits the horse, if there's any negative reaction, if there's a positive reaction. And she does her tests, so she'll go through and assess the horse's back first before the saddle even goes on. Then she'll go through and check the placement, check how her hand slides, how it's fitting on every single point of the saddle. And then also she'll look at the balance of it and determine whether or not there needs to be adjustments made. She'll also base it on the horse's movement. If there's anything that they seem to be having trouble with, if the saddle's moving back and forth. And we basically just do that for every horse. And then what I thought was really, really awesome is she has this little fake horse that she brings, and she puts the saddle on and she sits in every single saddle that she adjusts. And it's really neat to see, because basically what she's doing is sitting on it, making sure it's balanced, making sure it's centered, and it's sitting level, so that way when we put it back on the horse, we can see if it's not level, she'll adjust it or make those little tweaks.
We don't have a question, but we do have a comment from our friend Ellie.
Hi.
Who says, yay! Diane is super good.
She is. She's amazing. We had such a great time, and she got to know all of the horses, and she took her time. She was very patient with them and really enjoyed coming. So we're really thankful to have her out. It really was a pleasure, and it was a really cool experience to just kind of see her knowledge and see what she thought about our horses and how she does stuff. So it was great.
So Missy, when volunteers come to the barn,
yes,
what kind of things do we have out in the barn that help them with their jobs? Is there a board or anything?
Oh, yeah.
To be doing?
So we have, let me shut this light off. Let's go. We have a couple different areas where we have boards for our volunteers. So one of the first things we have is our paddock board. So what this board is basically a map of our property, and it has our arena, our red paddock. So if you were to take this and go like this, you would see the property. So behind the barn here is our red paddock, and then we have the arena, and then we have our purple paddock, which is way off on the side here, and then all of our other paddocks correspondingly. So this board basically tells the volunteers where the paddock is. It tells them what horses are in the paddock if they happen to be helping with turnout, or if they are bringing in horses. They know where everybody is. We also have, I need to change that. We also have each horse, and they all have the number next to them. So that tells our volunteers, it tells our staff how many flakes of hay each horse gets as well. So, and then if we have any closures, right now we have a paddock that we're in the process of clearing, and that one for now is closed. And then this paddock here, we don't really use because we don't need to. So we have all teams of horses.
So Missy, we've got horse groupings out in the paddocks.
Yes.
What goes into choosing what horses go with?
Oh boy, is that a fun process. So we like all of our horses to have herd mates. It is a process. We're very careful about how we do it because we never want any of them to get hurt in the process. So it'll start with, now I'll give you Cherokee for example, because typically when we have a horse on trial, they are not integrated into any herds until the trial's completed. However, because we have an extended trial with him, we've decided that, you know, he was alone and he really wanted to be with friends. And he also is an escape artist. So there was a day where he opened his back door and went over to Fire and had a wonderful conversation. And they were both very happy with each other. They were scratching each other. It was wonderful. So we decided to give them a shot. So basically what we did is we take them out to the end of the barn on lead rope, and they'll have their halters on, and we just stand them next to each other and see how they're going to behave. Making sure that it's two very, myself and our morning coordinator, Emilio, will hold the horses and let them kind of smell each other and see how they're going to react to each other. And if that goes well, then we take them out to the paddock, and usually we do it during the day so that way we can see everything, we can stay and observe. So they'll go out to the paddock and we'll let them kind of get to know each other. You can tell pretty quickly if horses are not going to be nice to each other because there's a lot of angry emotions that come out. It's normal for them to squeal a little and kind of jump around, but if that happens for an extended period of time, then we separate them. This, however, did not happen with them. And we'll stand with Fire while we're talking about this because he wants to be a part of the conversation now. So Fire and Cherokee went out together and they had a really nice time. They were playing, and remember earlier I said Fire likes to kick his shoes off, and he was running and running and running, having a grand time with Cherokee. He did not kick his shoes off though. It was great, and that's again what the bell boots do. So we were able to incorporate them together, and then once we saw that everything was going okay, we fed them lunch out there. So they get their hay for lunch and they get it outside, so that way they can kind of get to know each other even more. We let them stay out for a couple hours and then we'll bring them back in. So we do that for a couple days just to make sure that they're not gonna turn on each other and hurt each other overnight. That way there's always somebody present. And then basically after a couple days, we knew that they were going to be okay, and now they all go out together. So Ginny is also a part of that mix. So, yeah. But let's go see some other boards. Bye, Fire. Okay. So we have a board here that has our lesson information on it, as well as our tasks and chores. So this is our chore chart, and basically it'll tell our volunteers, they can come in and check these chores and see what we need done for the day. So there's a morning list, there's an evening list, and yeah, so that is our chores. And then we have our paddock board. So we have that paddock board down there, and then we also have this paddock board. And what this one is specifically for our hay, manure, and water troughs. So basically what they'll do is a volunteer will come and they'll look to see what has been checked off. And if they're not sure where to go, they'll pick one of the paddocks and say they'll go to pink, and they'll pick up all the hay. And typically there's not much, but we don't like to leave any leftover hay out there just because with the elements it can get moldy and we don't want our horses eating that. So our paddocks, if there's any hay left over, we do pick them. They also pick up the poop, so that way we don't have a paddock full of poop while the horses are out at night. And then the water troughs get cleaned on a pretty regular basis. I would say maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And it also depends on how many volunteers come. So sometimes they get done every day, sometimes they get done every couple days, but we have a pretty much a schedule for everything. So, yep. And then that's that. We also clean our wash racks and our hay shed. So we have a nice shed for our hay. We can go take a look at that if you want. Sure. So we have some really nice hay. We use Timothy hay here, and as well as our Timothy and alfalfa cubes that I was telling you about earlier. And that hay is really good. The horses love it. They really enjoy eating it, and it shows in the lack of hay left over. Welcome to the barn. And perfect. Oh, it's locked. It's okay. Do you have your keys? So we do lock it at night, and this is Megan, one of our barn staff. Sorry, throwing you on camera here. All right, I'll lock it. So in here we have our hay. We also have signage where we know which side to use. So that way we're always using the freshest hay. And yeah, that's it. So let's head back to the barn. Do we have any more questions coming in? All right.
You want to explain what we have in our...
Oh, yeah. This is our really fun secret tent here. So in here, it's really not secretive. In here are our shavings. I don't know if you can you see it? Mm-hmm. So we get a delivery every couple weeks, I would say. And maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on if the horses have stayed in because of rain. Typically if it's raining, we check the weather every day. If it's raining overnight, the horses always stay in, because when horses go out in rain, they can get fungus, they can get rain rot. It's essentially very similar. And we try to keep them as healthy and their skin and coat as clean as we can. We have a lovely team of volunteers that grooms pretty much every horse 2, maybe 3 times a day, depending on their class load. And, our horses are always really well groomed because of them. So we're definitely appreciative of that. We also have our poop pile. Sorry, that's not very exciting, but that gets pulled and dragged every so often, so that way we're constantly removing it and not creating more flies. Yeah. And then we are lucky enough to have this wonderful Kawasaki mule. It's great for all the activities that we have around the park. So, yeah. All right, we'll go back in. Is there anything you would like to cover, David?
Well, where are we at right here?
Oh, let's talk about this. We have our wash rack station. So we have 2 stations that we have for hosing our horses off. And typically this happens after they've worked or after they've been in classes. And it is designed so that they have mats so they don't slip on the cement. And we've got a hose at each station. So horses can get groomed out here or they can get hosed out here. So, and then, yeah, let's go through a grooming kit. So we have, as we get our horses ready for classes, we have a little bit of a different order of operation here. So typically in all the horse world of the worlds, you would start, oh.
We do have a question.
Ooh, go for it.
What schooling would you recommend if someone is interested in making a career out of this?
Ooh, okay, so me, because I'm a dressage diva, I'm always going to say dressage, but think of it like dance, okay? I don't know if there's any dancers out there, but every discipline, no matter what you do in the world, has a foundational piece. So in dance, that would be ballet. That's where you get all your fundamentals. It's where you get your core. Yes, I'm a dancer. It's where you get your core. It's where you get your stability. It's where you get yourself centered. So in horseback riding, that essentially would be dressage. All of your foundation and all of your core of everything. It teaches you a balanced seat. It teaches you the pyramid of training. It teaches you so many different pieces of riding that are so crucial to the connection between you and a horse. And with horses, there is, when you're riding, you're not just getting on and riding. There's a purpose for it, and when we're schooling our horses here, the idea is to build up their muscle, to build up their backs, and make them as strong as we can possibly make them, because they are carrying unbalanced riders. They're carrying riders that may not be able to control some of their movements. And if you have a horse that maybe has weak muscles, that's going to be very detrimental to them. So we try very hard to make sure our horses are schooled in those foundational pieces as well as our riders, so that way as a whole we can build them up and keep them strong and healthy and able to serve in our program, because without them we wouldn't have the program. So, but yes, I would say dressage is going to be your foundational element of general riding. It is going to teach you really, really good things to keep yourself in harmony with your horse.
So from becoming well-versed in dressage, what's the next step in becoming a certified therapeutic riding instructor?
Ooh, so there is a process. We go through PATH International, and it is the Professional Association for Therapeutic Horsemanship. And that is, I'm going to turn this way a little because I feel like so that has a curriculum you can log on. You can call us, and we can help walk you through. We like, when it comes to therapeutic riding instruction, you want to have that horse knowledge. You want to have that basis under you, because essentially you're teaching horseback riding to people with special needs. So you have to have that foundational horse knowledge to assist you with teaching those riders that have disabilities. And in doing so, you would basically talk to one of us here. You can talk to our program director, that's Juliet Holden, or even myself. I'm also a mentor. And it goes through an application process. There is a test that happens. You have to teach an able-bodied rider, and you have to go through a certain test, and it gets recorded, it gets submitted, and then there's a couple written tests that happen, and then you go through your teaching steps. So it is a process, but it's well worth it. Me speaking personally, I started volunteering here in 1995. I'm not going to tell you how old I was because I'll age myself, but I was a little kid and this place was my life. I lived here. I was always here. If I wasn't here, I wanted to be here. And I have friends that I met here that I still have to this day, as well as students. One of the students that I used to volunteer with is now one of my students, and it's a lot of fun to see the change and the progress and all of the different aspects of everything. So starting as a volunteer is always the best way to come in and learn what we do and get organized and find how we operate. And then taking those next steps to becoming an instructor is, you know, it's what I saw myself doing when I was a little kid. And here I am teaching, and I'm here all the time, and I love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So, all right, so let's go back to our grooming kit here. So, like I was starting to say, is typically in the horse world, you have an order, right? It's the curry comb, the hard brush, the soft brush, the feet. Here at Equine-Assisted Therapies, we like to start with our feet because we have multiple classes that happen throughout the day. And if one of our horses is missing a shoe, like Fire, because he likes to take his shoes off sometimes, we need to know as soon as possible. So that way we can make an appropriate switch, because if they're missing a shoe, they don't go into classes. They have to be pulled. We call our farrier and he'll come out and put the shoe back on. But if he's not in the area, the horse is not going to be in class for that hour. So, you know, we always start with our feet to make sure that everything looks okay. There's no tenderness or stones, sticks from outside. Make sure they're nice and clean. And then we go to our curry comb. So we like to use these gel curries here. And these things are really neat because they have a smaller side. And this has not been cleaned for the day, so please keep that in mind. And then it has the harder side. And this side is good if your horse has been rolling in mud. Sometimes they do that. And then this side is really good for just getting all that dirt and grime up and off the horse. And it also works really well to help shed out those winter coats. Then we move on to our hard brush, and this will go and we just flick off that dirt that we had just loosened up from our curry comb. And then we go to our soft brush, which basically polishes the coat after you dust off all the dirt. We also have this, we can use this side on the face, and some of the horses actually have a little version of this for their faces so that we can curry all of that too. And then they have a little face brush. So that is our grooming kit and how we typically go through our horses. All of our horses also, as you saw the wash racks, get hosed off at the end of their lesson, and that's so that we can get all the dirt and sweat out of their coat, so that way we're getting down to the skin and we're really cleaning them. Every horse, before they go out to lessons, also gets their eyes cleaned and their nostrils cleaned, so they're nice and presentable and they're not walking around with crusty, dirty noses. Okay. So, one other piece of fun to share with you guys is we get a lot of questions typically about our fly masks. So this is Star's gonna, let me show you Max's, because this thing is huge, but you can look at this like your pool screen or your patio screen. They can see right through it. It doesn't look like they can, but they can. And we also have, most of them have little ear nets as well. And what this does is, as they're out at night, it keeps the flies from going in their eyes. It keeps from bothering their ears. and keeps them protected. They also get their fly spray, and we have one horse that's very sensitive to bugs, so she actually gets her little bug spray, and as we get into the summer months, she gets what we call a slinky, and that helps also protect her from the bugs. So, oh, you are all in for a treat right now. Let's introduce you to the most important part of our barn. So this little lady here is Millie. She is our #1 special super duper barn cat. She will stalk you and follow you and meow at you until you give her treats. She's not allowed to have treats. She's a little pudgy, but she is probably one of the sweetest cats you will ever meet in your lifetime. And if you're not a cat person, meeting her, you will be. So, does anybody else have any questions? Anything? No? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed your time here at Equine-Assisted Therapies. This is Ponies and Pints, behind the scenes with myself, Missy. And I hope you enjoyed and got some fun learning in today. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you next time.